Closing the curtain on Fierce Fighting Championship 38 tonight. Crazy night. Night of the underdogs, it seems like. Zach, we were talking about it on the broadcast, and you mentioned it right before we turned on these cameras.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things that surprised me, and not just always who won. I don't really pick fights, but it's not just kind of the way that a lot of them played out and the way people won. I mean, yeah, it was a night that just we haven't had this feeling in a while, but there are some cards that it's a little reminiscent of, you know? So I think of February last year at the Maverick Center, right?
Yeah.
Same type of vibe.
Yeah. Braden Peterson kicks off the night with a very fast finish. Not a ton of fast finishes tonight, but he certainly got it done in just under 15 seconds.
I mean, the way him and Abdul fought, they've just made a decision, me or you, and it's probably going to happen within the first 30 seconds. I mean, there was a 0% chance either one of them was making it out of the first minute. They chose violence, and Braden found the finishing blow. I'm sure Abdul is really upset, but at the same time, like, we didn't know anything about him. He's from Chechnya.
Good point.
He's tough. He's big. Had a bunch of smokers in Chechnya, but we didn't know. Sometimes when debuters, they fight the first time, you know, a little bit. Now it's like a little easier to match him and like understand where he's at. I mean, Braden, he's not here for a long time. He's here for a fun time. And, you know, he said he wants to put himself in the mix for our heavyweight title picture here soon. He's booked out for another couple of fights. But, man, like, maybe the next time we see Braden Peterson picks up a couple more wins, it'll be back for the Fierce heavyweight title.
Turns 37 tomorrow. Happy birthday to him. Actually, when this is airing, it'll technically be Saturday. So happy birthday to Braden Peterson. All right, Calvin Taylor gets it done alongside Isaiah Randall at 155 pounds.
Man, I thought Isaiah Randall, first, super tough kid, 145er coming up to 55. Took it all, but Calvin, who, you know, he coming off an almost year layoff with his last loss being to Do Leon, and in a fight where, so his first fight, his athleticism just overwhelmed his opponent. In his second fight, when that didn't get it done, he didn't really have an answer for it. This fight, I thought he mixed his athleticism really well but not forcing things and not trying to force it. His cardio held up. I think at 55, he's a big, powerful 55er. He said to me after, he said, I loved how strong I felt at 55. And and I felt like he used his wrestling when he needed to, but didn't like fully rely on it. So I thought, and I'm obviously in the room with Calvin a lot. I just thought I was really happy for him to show his growth because I thought that he did that very well. Because a lot of those athletic, explosive guys usually don't find decision wins because they gas out or whatever. I thought that alone showed a lot of growth along with all the other things. But my hat's off to Isaiah Randall, who durable. I mean, man, Calvin's a tough match for anybody, and I thought Isaiah did a lot of things really well. Honestly, if you would have told me his record was 0-2 going into that fight, I would not have believed you.
Yeah, I completely agree. Really, really solid effort by both. Calvin Taylor gets his hand raised. Toa Meredith, Tayson Royer, a fantastic fight. Both guys bit down on their mouthpiece and traded back and forth. Toa Meredith comes out on top.
Yeah, I mean, dude, the thing that I love about Tayson too, first thing in the cage, he goes, I'll be back. He said the same thing after he fought Nate Ayers too. Like, you can't teach toughness. He has that thing in him that you can't teach.
And it's making him better too. He looks better every single walk. He's fantastic. He's done a great job.
I thought, I mean, in Toa, we talked about it on the pre-show podcast. Like, he is really exciting. He is really fun. And welcome to Fierce, Toa Meredith. And I told him I would love, I would love for his next fight to, possibly be for the 145 title. We'll see that competed for in April. I like Toa for the winner of that fight.
We alluded to that potentially on the broadcast. So look forward to a future date, maybe at 145 pounds for him. Tristan Parks, Aiden Egler. Parks gets the win on the road.
I mean, we talked about it before. Parks, we knew Parks was tough. We know that Aiden's been tough, but Aiden, like we've talked about, Ben Evans,
Zahan Bilimoya.
Zahan, thank you. I wanted to say Zach, but no, it's Zahan. He got the quick knockout. That was our true test, and I thought Aiden showed some. That was a very good litmus test to see where he's at, and I thought he showed that like he's on that level too, because the triangle was close. Could have transitioned to an armbar there. Like he almost had that fight won in the first round. In a couple of moments, I thought he was going to do it. Was very competitive. When you get dropped with a liver shot like that, sometimes things just happen in fights. It's just and that just happened. It just is one of those things. My hat's off to Tristan Parks. I think he's a stud, and he's somebody I'd be very interested in having back at Fierce too.
More ways to lose than in any other sport. Still a great job by both. But Tristan Parks gets it done. All right, Nate Reinhardt, Zach Spreitzer. Reinhardt finds his way back to the win column.
I mean, yeah, and Zach, dude, so Zach was so tough throughout this thing. It got moved to a 140 catch weight because Zach has been sick as a dog. He's having problems with the weight cut, sick. Didn't want to pull out after Nate had to. Wanted to get this one in. He just didn't feel like he had the juice to push when he needed to with his cardio and things like that. Zach also, he does want to, I know it's a weird because he missed weight at one, or didn't miss weight, but he's the one that asked to go up on weigh-in day. Mm-hmm. I think he still wants to go to 125 too. But he actually looked pretty good size at 135. Like he looked bigger than Nate, wider back, a lot of those things. Nate, cool, calm, and collected, as we know him to be, puts himself right back into contention for that bantamweight title that's now vacant. I thought a really good performance by Nate. One thing I will say with Nate, when he's composed, we see him composed, he's just on it, man. And that won him that fight. I thought it was a pretty sound win, good win for Nate to get back. Interesting to see off of his loss. He's gotten better. It's good.
I think you'll appreciate it too. We saw a lot more boxing from Nate in this one as well. For Zach Spreitzer, he looked really good on the feet. Didn't necessarily show that in his last walk. One of the best comebacks in Fierce Fighting Championship history, Casey Pierce alongside Hannah Silva. Some find controversial, others find quite memorable in the way that Hannah Silva got it done.
I mean, somebody said something about that being the greatest comeback in Fierce Fighting Championship history. And at first I was like, that's probably a little dramatic. But then you really think about it, and I was like, okay, let me ask you this. What was closer to being finished? Talon Carvalho with Logan Taylor?
That's a good point.
Or Hannah Silva and Casey Pierce? Because, I mean, but very similar, right? But very similar from the standpoint that the big comeback with an almost finish, the ref could have maybe stopped. I mean, I think if the ref would have stopped the fight, I don't think you could argue with it, especially at the amateur level. But obviously he made the right decision because Hannah was still in it. That's what I said with Logan Taylor, right? Could have stopped the fight with Logan and Talon.
Yeah.
Nobody would have been mad. But maybe you say it was correct because Logan was still very much in the fight and proceeded to win the fight. Didn't finish it. Hannah found a way to win. She's super durable. She's super tough. Nobody can ever take that away from her. Puts herself, I know she wants that amateur title back. Could happen.
6-4 for Silva. How about Talon Carvalho, Thomas Linton, one of the faster finishes of the night. Talon Carvalho looked as he always does, seems to be one of the most steady delivers in terms of exciting finishes in the state.
I mean, Talon, here's the thing from here on out. Say what you will about Thomas Linton. He was coming off of a title fight loss too at a higher weight class. Dude, I think Thomas Linton's a 45er. He weighed in with his clothes on at 55.
Shoes on.
Shoes on. I think he's a 45er. Talk about just a super game dude. Talon was so patient, and when he finally threw that missile of right hand, I'm pretty sure he broke Thomas Linton's nose. Like, it just took one missile, and it was like, that was it. Every single time Talon has lost, first to Ammon Garcia, now to Logan Taylor, he has come back and put on like jaw-dropping
All-time performances
performances against guys that were also coming off title losses. Tyler Harden and now Thomas Land.
Sensational win by him. All right, we move over to the main card. Dante Morales, Tyler Polillo in an extremely tight one. Pulling at strings here. Very tough to see who would come away with it. Some people calling it a robbery. Other people calling it fair game. Your thoughts?
Honestly, I would love to go back and rewatch it and watch it like a judge. I was kind of dealing with some promotional duties during that fight a little bit.
What?
So
You
I
just
didn't-
sit down and enjoy the fights. What are you talking about?
I would love to sometime. Maybe one day. No, but I mean, I watched enough of the fight that I just felt like it was really competitive and it was really close. And it was one of those fights where I don't feel like either of them would have got robbed.
I agree.
If Tyler would have gotten his hand raised, I would have shrugged my shoulders and been like, and just, I would have been okay with it. Like, I thought it was that close of a fight. I will go back when we can and sit down and put my judge's cap on and judge it to see if I agree with it or not. I can't say it was right or wrong, but I will say it was a phenomenal fight. Two very competitive guys. But we've just seen Dante just dog out back-to-back fights now against super game tough guys. And 4-0, like, he kind of is the apex predator of the flyweight division now.
Made his debut about 53 weeks ago now and already has a championship title next to his name. As for Tyler Polillo, 29-day turnaround, went to 5 full rounds as an amateur in another title fight back up in Idaho, I believe?
Yeah, Front Street.
That all being said, very impressive for him to answer back as quickly as he did. Congratulations to Dante Morales. All right, Dosam Leon, maybe the upset of the night over Christian Reese.
Upset if you don't know Dosam. We do.
Right.
Right? He did this to my teammate last April. I think the world of Calvin, and he kind of beat him up when it's all said and done. And I thought Calvin, I actually do still think, and then I used to say Calvin, I said, you're gonna be a welterweight champ. Turns out if he's gonna wear a belt, it's probably gonna be 155 in the future. But I think he's great at that weight class. But dude, Dosam he's durable, he's a beast. His only losses are to absolute monsters.
Yeah.
Eric Beck out of Syndicate is a monster. And if you go watch their fight up in Idaho, and if you watch, and then his only other loss was a decision loss to Lane Dalton, who, oh, by the way, pretty good.
We'll see him next month.
And Lane Dalton, Alan Aragon, number one contender fight, Dosam Leon. If Lane Dalton gets his hand raised, we're going to see number 2.
Yep.
I already talked to the coaches about it. They just said, whoever wins, we accept. They didn't even ask who was in it. And I just realized it's Lane Dalton. Could be in it. But he's got to get through Alan Aragon first, who no easy task himself.
Tickets on sale now.
Tickets on sale, March 29th, Idaho Falls. FierceFightingChampionship.com. But I digress. Dosam Leon is a stud. The thing with Christian is when you're 5-0 like that, there's a lot of pressure, but he learned some things in that fight. Right now, I know he's feeling everything. He's feeling like he let people down, this and that, whatever. The beauty of losing for the first time in MMA is understanding where you need to grow the most now. And this isn't boxing where you build up this beautiful, perfect record and then all the way, and then you get to find out if you're world class or not on the biggest stages. The beauty with MMA is if you're doing it right, you're challenging yourself as an amateur. And then, like that was an appropriate fight. Christian is an incredible fighter, an incredible athlete. He's talented, he's gifted. He almost pulled off like one of the sickest triangles. It would have been so sick. And he just showed like he's so high level in areas, and now he knows where he needs to work on. And I compare it a lot to when I watched my really good friend Cole Faust lose for the first time as an amateur. We found an area that was a weakness and we worked on it. I dare say, like, I don't think anybody's ever going to beat Cole Faust that way again. You see how Christian responds? I truly believe he's going to respond in emphatic fashion, and I think when he comes back, he'll be in really good shape, right? Like he'll be in really good shape to right those wrongs. But Dos Leon, dude, I mean, that's the thing. Like, you have to kill that kid, and tough as nails. Hats off to him. I love Christian. I love their family. They're awesome. And the beautiful thing about fighting is life's still good, and he'll be just fine. He'll just grow from it.
Headline for him as well, still an amateur. As for Dos Leon, just kept coming forward no matter what Christian cracked him with. All right, Jenna Williams comes away with a split decision win over Tyler Schaefer.
It was unanimous. That was one of the judge, actually, Scott Buller clarified that with me and Jenna. That was a unanimous decision. The referee marked the wrong box for the wrong corner. When questioned why he did that, he said, no, Jenna won. And that's how they found that out. So that was a unanimous decision.
That's great breaking news. I appreciate that.
Breaking news.
But Jenna Williams comes away with it. Some people saying a very technical, fun fight. Lots of people really excited for that one at 125 pounds.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it was fun. And, the girls came in to scrap. They did a great job promoting. That's something that we haven't done before. Bringing 2 out-of-town female fighters like that at Fierce Fighting Championship for a pro fight.
Mentioned that on the broadcast.
We haven't done that before. We're trying to bring in more women's MMA people. Fans ask me all the time, more women's MMA. We did a fan survey. I got that answer. We need more. So I'm trying. There's just not a lot of women's MMA, but I thought both girls did a really good job promoting the fight, acting like professionals. Come out there, gave it 100%. What more can you ask for? Congratulations to Jenna Williams and on her pro debut win.
Speaking of 100%, Daniel Keepers, Ammon Garcia both certainly gave it everything they had at 160 pounds in the co-main event. Daniel Keepers comes away with the victory.
I thought Daniel did some things really well. He's getting better. That's a guy that started 0-2. We watched him in his last fight at Tough Enough. We were there in attendance, and we watched him again tonight, and he's just doing things that are getting better. And it was really interesting. John Wood was very complimentary to Ammon, to me, when we were talking to him after, and he said, that kid is going to be so good when he puts it together. And he said, it kind of like Daniel, in his first 2 pro fights, he didn't get a win, and now he's going on a bit of a run. People that know Ammon, obviously we all know him here. I believe Ammon's like a UFC prospect. He just fixed some things and put it together. I think Daniel's length, and again, this isn't boxing where you get to like pick and choose. I want to point this out too. I offered Ammon a lot of people with 1-2 pro fights. They all said no, thank you. 1-0, 2-0s. They said no, thank you. We had to get to somebody that had 4 fights to finally say yes, right? So that speaks to the level that at least Ammon's on. Ammon's tough. Also, I know the doctor checked it. I know he's tough as nails. I do not believe he could see out of that eye. And when you are fighting somebody that's that long and you can't see out of one of your eyes, it's really hard on your depth perception. I'm not making excuses for Ammon. I'm not speaking for him, anything like that. I'm just saying what I saw, and as somebody that's in the room with Ammon and knows the type of fighter that he is, I think that eye affected things a lot more than maybe people would understand. He's another one. He'll be just fine. Like, he'll be just fine. Hats off to Daniel Keepers. That coming up here, and that's a big win.
John Poppy also gets a big win. He's now the Fierce FC professional middleweight champion. Finishes Mike Jones with a slam. Mike Jones didn't have the ability to post out with his arm. It was trapped, and so he fell on his head, and that is what knocked him out, unfortunately. Tyler Tomlinson, being the veteran official that he was, made his way over there as quickly as he could, knowing that likely something like that might have happened.
I mean, I just talked to Mike. Mike said Mike said, I was in the best shape. I was ready to wrestle for 5 rounds, everything. And I was relaxed. He was good. Dude, the fight game, like, just anything can happen, right? And that's just like one of those things. Remember when Jessica Andrade spiked Rose? Same type of thing,
multiple
right?
Multiple people.
Like,
We've talked
dude,
about it.
when you have that Kimura lock, and you get elevated like that, there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to go. And it just, and sometimes, like, it just, I don't really know what else to say, but it's like, dude, if they fight 100 times, like, that scenario probably never happens again. It's possible, I guess, that John could find success in other ways, but I mean, that first 3-2 that Mike threw could have knocked him out too, like very similar and reminiscent of what led to the beginning of the end in the Trent Miller fight, right? Yeah. So congrats to John Poppy. He's come up to the Masonic Temple twice now and knocked off on a tear Cole Schaefer and knocked off on a tear Mike Jones, and is the new middleweight champ. Big ups to John Poppy for doing that. Mike is one of my favorite people to work with because he's just kind of a pro's pro and professional. He's been around a long time, doing it for a long time. That's just the thing. Anything can happen. I think we just saw that tonight. We saw that in a lot of fights. Like, when you think you know what's going to happen in a fight, like, it just sometimes doesn't. But it's a fight game, and it's crazy, and it's fun. But really appreciate the crowd and the support and everybody that attended in person and on the broadcast. It was overall, I mean, it was a great show, and we are super excited for Fierce Fighting Championship 39 up in Idaho Falls with literally the biggest heavyweight fight that we could make, or I believe that is going on in the country right now. Jordan Curry challenging for Jared Vanderas' heavyweight title.
Vanderas won 4 in a row. Curry has won 6. Tickets are on sale right now at fiercefightingchampionship.com. Make the way up to Idaho Falls. It will be worth it, guaranteed. Zach, thank you so much. About to close this one out. Fierce Fighting Championship 38 in the books.